and Nationals fans arriving on a Friday night to the ballpark to catch the final 3 games of 2015 between 2 divisional rivals as the Phillies try to solve the Nationals one last time. It's Philadelphia and Washington at Nationals Park. And many people thought that it would be the Washington Nationals sitting atop the NL East at this part of the season. However, they sit 7.5 games back of the New York Mets, whose magic number has been trimmed to 3. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Phillies Baseball alongside Ben Davis. I'm Greg Murphy in for Tom McCarthy tonight, and we're looking at a Nationals team, Ben, that came into Philadelphia a few weeks back and swept the Phillies out 3 games straight. It was both an offensive display and a good pitching display for the Washington Nationals, and 2 guys in the middle of their lineup doing a lot of damage.
This team had everything going for them. The last time these two faced off did the Washington Nationals. The 3-4 punch that they have is as good as anybody in either league. The problem is neither one has really been able to stay healthy over the last couple seasons. This year, Jason Worth has put together a pretty solid year, but Bryce Harper, in my opinion, the undisputed, absolute National League most valuable player. He has done it all this season. Last season, this 3-4 combo, they did a whole lot of damage.
We're taking a look at some of the highlights from that sweep in Philadelphia, and there is the guy in the middle of the lineup that every time you make a mistake, he seems to make you pay.
He does, and right now, I know you can talk about Mike Trout, and I'm sure a lot of people in your home state, New Jersey, are going to disagree with me, but right now, Bryce Harper is the best player in Major League Baseball.
And Philadelphia Phillies fans know all about this guy, and his numbers aren't terrific against the Phillies, but Jason Worth does damage when the damage is needed to be done.
High fastballs, he's always been able to hit them. He always comes up in big opportunities, but you see there with Asher and Hinojosa weren't able to get those high fastballs by Jason Worth. Even one Aaron Nola up and in on a 0-2 pitch, he can turn anybody's heater around.
Take a look at the numbers. They were 12 for 26 in the series, 8 home runs between the two of them, 14 RBIs as well. They did the damage for sure. Well, it should be an interesting series. The Washington Nationals still fighting an outside chance at the NL East. They need to pretty much win out. The Phils are hoping to do some damage against them. Here are the guys taking the baseballs. Jared Eichhoff will take the ball for the Phils, his 7th start of the season, and Jordan Zimmerman for the Nationals. Lineups and first pitch when we come back. Phillies Baseball is brought to you by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com today to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. One deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. Starting lineup is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Leading off is Freddie Galvis playing shortstop, followed by Aaron Altera and Odubel Herrera. Darren Ruffle bat 4th, he'll play first base. Cody Ashe is batting 5th, he'll play 3rd, followed by Blanco, Bogusevic, Cameron Rupp doing the catching, and Jared Eichhoff will be doing the pitching tonight. That first pitch to Freddie Galvis is popped up in the infield. Coming in on it is Anthony Rendon, and he makes the first out. He makes the catch on the infield, and quickly 1 out, and that's the guy who will be throwing the baseball tonight for the Washington Nationals. It's Jordan Zimmerman making his 32nd start of the year. He's 13-8 with an ERA of 3.49. winningest pitcher in Nats history, Ben, and he has been really good for this franchise for a number of years.
He is. There's 4 pitch pitchers. We take a look at the scouting report. 6 and 7 with a 3.8 ERA career against the Fighting Phils. But he's a bulldog. He will give you something to hit. He will challenge you with that fastball.
Well, Aaron Altair is the second batter for the Phillies, and he swings through that one. It makes the count even 1-1 with 1 out here in the top of the first. He wastes no time throwing the baseball either.
No, he doesn't.
There you see Altair's numbers: 225, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs since being called up from the Lehigh Valley. 1-1 pitch is over for a strike. It's 1-2.
And Freddie Galvis has not wasted any time swinging at the first pitch
Oh,
the last 3 games.
He didn't even let me get his numbers out there for him. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fouled back. Remains 1-2. Zimmerman, as you mentioned, 13-8 on this season, a career 70-48 for the Washington Nationals. 3.28 ERA in his career. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that's over the inside corner for a strike. Second out of the inning. Jordan Zimmerman has his first strikeout of the evening. Well, Ben, time now for our keys of the game, presented by Nissan. What do you got?
Jared Eichhoff, don't change a thing. He's been pitching very, very well lately, so don't think you have to change anything. And hitters, be quicker to the baseball, not harder. I've seen some very hard swings recently. I think their bat speed has slowed down because of that.
We'll bring up Odubel Herrera, who takes that first pitch over the outside corner for a strike. It's 0-1. Herrera has seen his average drop down to 291 over the past couple of days. Still has 8 home runs, 40 RBIs, flirting with 300 for a good part of the second half of this season. But he has been struggling of late. There's 4 hits on this current road trip that the Phils are on.
I've seen a lot of, we all know that Odubel does have a lot of movement in the batter's box, big high leg kick, but I call it happy feet. He's getting that front foot down, and he's just kind of sliding with it. His whole body's moving forward. I think his feet need to slow down a bit.
Well, Zimmerman works ahead 0-2, and that pitch is high and outside for a ball, so it's 1-2 to Odubel Herrera. Today's Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Keith Lemming from Delran, New Jersey. The Phillies hit a home run in this game. Keith will win $300.
Good luck, Keith.
It won't happen here as Odubel Herrera swings through that pitch. It's the second strikeout of the inning. Just like that, the Phils are down in the top of the first. 1, 2, 3 go the Phils. No runs, hits, or errors. Then left, we head to the bottom of the first. No score. We head to the bottom of the first. Nationals with their first chance against Jared Eichhoff. And here's the lineup for the Washington Nationals, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Anthony Rendon leads off and plays second base, followed by the third baseman, Escobar. Bryce Harper bats third. He's the right fielder, followed by Worth, Robinson, and Desmond. Center fielders Michael Taylor, followed by Wilson Ramos, the catcher, and the pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman. And the first pitch to Anthony Rendon is outside for a ball. It's 1-0. And on the hill for the Phillies, it's Jared Eichhoff, who also works very quickly as he waits for Rendon to step back in. Gets his sign from Cameron Rupp. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And that one is line drive to left field. On the run is Aaron Altair, and it's over his head. Rendon's going to cruise into second as that one hops off the wall. Altair gets it back in, and that's going to be a leadoff double for Anthony Rendon.
Exactly why you take balls off the wall during batting practice. You know how they're going to carry them. Aaron Altair is not able to get to this line drive, but at least is able to corral it and keep Rendon to a double.
Just out of the reach of Aaron Altair. Got a pretty good jump on that, but he just couldn't catch up to it. Took a pretty good route as well. There's Jared Eichhoff's numbers for the season. Mentioned making his 7th start for the Phillies. He's 1-3, but with an ERA of 3.16. You see the 31 hits in 37 innings, and I think by all accounts, Jared Eichhoff has really impressed the Phillies so far with what he's been able to do.
Absolutely, he has.
Well, the batter is Escobar, batting .326 on the season, 9 home runs, 56 RBIs. Having a terrific season. Swings through that one. It's 0-1 to Escobar.
Take a look at the scouting report for Jared Eichhoff. And again, 4-pitch pitcher. Will sit right about 91, but can crank it up 94, 95. His last 2 starts, he has been stellar. 14 innings pitched and just given up the 1 earned run.
Squares around to bunt, and he bunts that one foul. So it's 0-2 to Yanel Escobar.
I don't know why he didn't do that on the first pitch.
I'm not so sure either.
You swing in a first pitch breaking ball, and then you bunt a second pitch fastball foul. I'm going to take my chances the first pitch of the at-bat.
He's behind Eichhoff 0-2, and here's the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and he got him. First strikeout for Jared Eichhoff. Escobar is the victim. That'll bring up Bryce Harper.
I'll tell you what. That might be one of the worst at-bats you're going to see. First pitch breaking ball, then you bunt a ball foul, then a swing at another ball down in the dirt. That's just a terrible at-bat by Escobar.
Yeah, not what you're expecting out of a guy who's had a terrific season so far. We saw his numbers.
It looked like he didn't even try to advance Rendon to third base.
So that'll be left up to Bryce Harper, right fielder, who is having an MVP kind of season. We talked about him right at the top of the program. He steps in and first pitch swinging, fouls that one straight back. So it's 0-1 to Bryce Harper, batting .339 on the season, 41 home runs, the 95 RBIs. It's tops in batting average and home runs in the National League. He's 4th or 5th in RBIs as well. And you see his numbers with runners in scoring position. Doing just about everything right is Bryce Harper this season. Swings through that one. It's 0-2 to Bryce Harper. 92-mile-per-hour fastball.
Bryce Harper is a guy that will climb the ladder, but you have to have enough giddy-up on your fastball to get it by him. You don't have enough giddy-up, you're going to be turning around and seeing the outfielders' backs of their numbers.
Rendon leads off second. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. It's in the dirt. He got him. And Bryce Harper, the second strikeout victim for Jared Eichhoff. Back-to-back Ks for the young rookie. That'll bring up Jason Worth. So nice job against one of the best hitters in the National League.
This is a tight little breaking ball right here. Take a swing like that at that pitch means Bryce Harper does not see any rotation on that breaking ball. Swings at the one in the dirt.
Well, that'll bring up former Philly Jason Worth. Batting just .224 on the season, 11 home runs, 40 RBIs, but we showed you the numbers that he was able to put up against the Phillies the last time he saw his former squad. They were impressive. He's got a chance to put the Nationals on the board early in this one. Takes that first pitch outside for a ball.
A heck of a mane he's got, isn't it, Murph?
It always is. Off from the stretch. 2-0 pitch. Outside for a ball. So 3-0 to Jason Worth. Clint Robinson waits on deck.
You do have to be careful here with Jason. I would assume that he'd have the 3-0 green light. I don't see any reason why he would not.
There you go. He swung at 5 of the 23-0 pitches he's seen. That's over for a strike, so it's 3-1 now to Jason Worth. Jason's been struggling a bit, just 3 for 25 on this current homestand for the Nationals. 2 of those 3 hits have been doubles. Zones at second. He led off with a double, then 2 quick strikeouts, and here's the 3-1 pitch. Line drive into center field, and that is going to fall in for a hit in front of Herrera. So Rendon's going to come around to score, and the Nationals have a 1-0 lead. Jason Worth coming through again, putting his team on top.
Declines the swing of the 3-0 pitch, but gets his 3-1 cookie, and despite the numbers that Jason Worth has this season, he's not going to miss that 3-1 fastball. Up in the zone. Just lines his pitch over Freddie's head down into left center field. Shame that ball couldn't stay up just a hair longer. I think Odubel Herrera would have had a chance to make a play on that baseball.
Well, that'll bring up Clint Robinson, first baseman, batting .270. Steps in from the left side. First pitch swinging, fly ball, left field. Altair says he has it, doesn't have to move much, and makes the catch for the 3rd out. But not until the Nationals get on the board first here in the bottom of the first. 2 hits, they score a run. It's 1-0 Nationals. New York Mets, a 3-game series starting on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All 3 games at 7:05. The National League East New York Mets may have it clinched by then, but you can come out and watch them anyway at Citizens Bank Park. You can order your tickets now at Phillies.com. 1-0 here at Nationals Park. Nationals with the 2 hits in the bottom of the first inning. Able to play to run. Takes us to the top of the second. Darren Ruff will lead it off, facing Jordan Zimmerman. First pitch is over for a strike, so it's 0-1 to Darren Ruff. 232, 9 home runs, 30 RBIs. Dials that straight back. It's 0-2 to Ruff.
It's weird feeling that cool breeze, isn't it, Murph?
Yeah, it's a little chilly here. Has a line drive to left field. Going back on it is Worth, and at the track, and he makes the catch. So Ruff gave it a ride, but Worth able to track it down for the first out of the inning. See that one guy with a flannel shirt?
How about that?
Yeah, it's flannel shirt weather at this point.
Apparently. Well, coming from Atlanta and then Miami,
Yeah,
this feels good.
it does feel good. I think game time temperature was 68 degrees.
I wouldn't say it's pullover jacket chilly, but
Oh, you would?
it apparently is for you.
First pitch to Cody Ashe is outside for a ball.
Blood gets a little thinner in your old age, from what I understand.
Tom did say that when you get older, you get colder. It's outside for a ball, so it's 2-0 to Cody Ashe. At 247. I don't have a hood on. 2-0 pitch. Popped up. Off with the mask is Wilson Ramos, but that'll sail out of play. Well, tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language to the menu on your cable box.
See.
An Angel in the ballpark tonight. One pitch to Cody Ashe is on the outside corner for a strike, so it's 2-2 now. There's the 2-2 pitch. Line drive, base hit into right field. That one could sneak all the way back to the wall. Big turn by Cody Ashe at second, but Bryce Harper with that very strong arm gets it back in, and he'll have to head on back to first, but it's a single for Cody Ashe, the first base runner for the Phils. And with 1 out, that'll bring up Andres Blanco.
I do like to see that good, powerful turn around first base. Just looking for a quick little bobble, anything. Because not going to take the extra base on Bryce Harper with his arm, but I like that aggressiveness out of Cody Ashe.
Yeah, he gave himself a chance if there was any kind of hesitation by Harper or bobble, as you mentioned. It's a big lead off at first, and first pitch to Blanco is a little bit low for a ball. It's 1-0. That's all you can do. Give yourself that opportunity. And there he goes. He's running, and Blanco's swinging. It's 1-1. He fouls that one back, so Cody Ashe will have to head back to first base.
It's a good time to put a hit and run on. 1-0. Most likely you're going to get a fastball out of Jordan Zimmerman. Andres Blanco, very good contact hitter. No problem with it. You do have that hole open on the right side.
1-1 pitch to Blanco. Ground ball second base. Up with it is Rendon. He flips over to second to Desmond for one, and over to first. Double play. So Andres Blanco, 4-6-3 double play victim. And that'll end the threat for the Phillies. We'll head to the bottom of the second. The Nationals lead by 1. Washington here for the Flyers front office. The new head coach, Captain Claude Giroux, and the rest of the team. Don't miss the premiere of Meet the Flyers, presented by Virtua, tomorrow at 12:30, right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Meet the Flyers. Starting to feel like hockey weather. Desmond fouls that first pitch back. That's why I have a jacket on. Hard to believe, really. High and tight. It's 1-1 now to Ian Desmond.
Well, I will welcome the autumn with open arms. My favorite time of the season, weather-wise.
The fall, the
yes.
autumn. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2 now to Ian Desmond. Desmond followed by Michael Taylor and Wilson Ramos. Eichhoff gets his sign from Cameron Rupp. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. He got him. Third strikeout already for Jared Eichhoff. Desmond is the first strikeout victim. So, despite the one run that has been pushed across, Eichhoff getting off to a quick start. And Leslie Goodell, that's exactly what we've seen from a lot of these Phillies young pitchers.
Yeah, we have, Murph. We watched Eichhoff have his best game yet last week in Atlanta. And the four young guys that have come up this year that started off a little slowly. Well, Aaron Nola has really been great since the beginning. But the four guys have really been feeding off each other. Bob McClure, their pitching coach, said that they have a healthy competition going, that they feed off each other, they talk about the game, they watch the game. He says he's noticed that they all watch the game and discuss pitches and how the game is going. And he said one thing he's noticed that they've lost is fear. They pitched a little bit fearful in the beginning because they wondered, wow, am I supposed to be here? And now that doubt is gone. They know they belong here. And then that competition helps feed it. He said last night with Alec Asher, you noticed it a little bit more. He was pitching inside a little bit more. We've talked about McClure's motto that you'd rather be the lion than the antelope. He's all about if they're attacking you, you attack harder. And that's certainly working for them as they all have each other to feed off of. And they, they've got Aaron Harang, but they don't really have that your stopper in the rotation to go to, so they're having to go to each other.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, and Ben, as you sit there and watch them converse in the dugout and talk about the game and are into the game, that is such an important thing for these young guys.
It sure is, but whatever they're talking about, whatever Jared Eichhoff was talking about recently, it's working this evening.
Sure is. Fourth strikeout now for Eichhoff.
Well, it's good to see the younger guys doing that. I noticed an absolute difference in the way Alec Asher pitched last evening. He was very effective inside. And these guys, not that they all have the same stuff, but they may ask, what would you do in this situation?
You see Alec Asher's numbers from last night. He lost the game, but he pitched well. 7 innings, just the 1 run allowed. Big swing and a miss from Wilson Ramos. So 1 to him.
And they might discuss, well, I'd throw a changeup here. Well, my changeup's not as good as yours. What would you recommend? There's different things that they could discuss amongst themselves, and that can get them through an inning, possibly in their next outing.
And all of it invaluable for next season, because that's what this is all about at this point. Get them a taste of the big leagues, give them a little bit of confidence, show that they belong, and they can come into spring training a year from now battling for those rotation spots and really feel like they belong. And that's what Bob McClure and Pete McCannon and Andy McPhail and all the guys are hoping for when they hit Clearwater late February of next year. Well, the count is 2-1 to Wilson Ramos. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2 now.
I don't think they're picking up his fastball right now. We've seen it about 91, 92. It's where he normally sits, but some different swings off Jared Eichhoff tonight.
The 2-2 pitch, line drive, base hit. Right back up the middle, so it's gathered up by Odubel Herrera. And Wilson Ramos is a 2-out base runner here in the bottom of the second. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman.
Shame he could not get Ramos out to have Zimmerman lead off next inning, but so be it.
You see Zimmerman's offensive numbers, batting .150. exactly a threat at the dish. That one sails outside. It's 1-0 to Zimmerman. Ramos takes his lead off first. 1-0 pitch. Outside for a ball. It's 2-0. Over for a strike. 2-1 now to the pitcher Jordan Zimmerman. Anthony Rendon is on deck. He doubled his first at bat. Outside, so 3-1 now to Zimmerman. Nibbling a little bit. It's Jared Eichhoff.
And sometimes when you know you have a guy up there that's not very good at swinging the bat, you just kind of let off a little bit.
And gets that one over, and now it's a full count to Zimmerman.
It's very frustrating when you know a guy's not even going to be swinging.
Yeah, he has no intent of swinging that bat, or it certainly doesn't look like it at this point. Maybe he will now with a full count. Darren Ruff plays off the runner, and he does swing and pops it up. In the infield, Cody Ashley in foul territory is over and makes the catch. Third out of the inning here in the bottom of the second inning. So into the top of the third, that's lead by 1. A question, log on to Phillies.com, go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. Tonight's question is, who holds the Nationals record for most home runs in one season? That answer will be revealed later in the game. Matt Stairs is not the correct
Nationals or franchise?
Nationals.
So it cannot be an Expo.
Correct. Brian Bogusevic steps in to lead it off here in the top of the third inning for the Phils. Takes that first pitch out inside for a ball. It's 1-0 for Brian Bogusevic. Inside and low. It's 2-0 now to Bogusevic.
You were admiring his batting practice today?
Oh, my. It's over for a strike. It's 2-1. He was launching ball after ball into the right center field stands. That's a poke.
Hit a few in the upper tank. Let's see. He was launching them.
I said, who's down there? Who's hitting right now? And he takes that one upstairs for a ball, so it's a walk from Jordan Zimmerman to Brian Bogasevic. He's the leadoff base runner. It's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag PhillyPhoto, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile. Who knows, you could see yourself in tonight's broadcast.
You could.
Use that hashtag. Leslie Goodell will have that a little bit later on in the game. So Bogasevic is a base runner. He walked. That'll bring up Cameron Rupp. Batting in the 8-hole tonight. First pitch swing, and it's a line drive, base hit to center field. That one falls in front of Michael Taylor. So the first two are aboard here in the top of the third for the Phils. And it's going to bring up Jared Eichhoff, who will most likely be bunting to move those guys along.
This really is a different vantage point. You and I were up here early. This is my first time here, and the first time for you calling a game in this booth. And I don't know what's higher, us or that crane we see out in center field.
We're like even with the Capitol building, the top of the Capitol building. That's what it seems like. And Eichhoff is around the bunt, and Zimmerman goes to third. Bad decision because he had no chance of getting Bogasevic. He is safe down at third. Good news for the Phils. They have loaded with nobody out here in the top of the third. I'm not exactly sure what he was thinking at that moment, because Bogasevic was pretty close to third when he fielded that ball.
I'm putting a little of this on Ramos as well, because Zimmerman's back is turned to the runner, obviously. But you see Ramos point right away. I'm putting that one on Ramos. This early in the ball game, you can see him point right there. He says, this early in the ball game, I'm going to make sure. Ow. Hit Escobar right in the ankle.
He is indeed a little bit closer than I thought, but nonetheless safe, and loads him up for the Phils. Top of the order, Freddie Galvis takes that one over for a strike. You're right, though. Ramos did point, and I guess Zimmerman's going to trust him that that's the play.
Especially in a ball game. No offense to the Phillies offense right now, but they're having a problem scoring runs. Yep. Get your outs and work from there.
Galvis swings and sends that one to center field. Taylor comes in shallow. It's going to be way too shallow for any of the runners to advance as Taylor's throw comes all the way home. So that's the first out of the inning, a line drive to center field, shallow center field. Freddie Galvis is out. So bases still loaded. Aaron Altair is the batter with one out. Sacrificing fielder's choice on Eichhoff's bunt attempt, scoring at home. So Altair steps in. He was a strikeout victim in his first at bat, first inning. Phillies could use a base hit right here as he swings, fouls that one off the plate. It's 0-1 to Aaron Altair.
Love a gapper here.
I'll tell you what, you find a gap in this place and you're going to run for a while. And Aaron Altair with his speed. Of course, he has to be careful. He's got a pitcher in front of him and a catcher in front of him. So,
hey,
no offense.
None taken.
I meant the camera. The umpires tonight, John Tupain, he's behind the plate. James Hoyd over there at first. Bill Welke and John Hirschbeck down there at third. He's the crew chief. One out, bases loaded for the Phils. 1-1 pitch. And that is line drive to center field, and that's going to get by Michael Taylor. He shouldn't have dove for it. It's going to roll all the way back to the wall. It's going to clear the bases, and watch Altair run. Eichhoff's going to score easily. Here comes Altair. He's being waved around. No throw to the plate. How about that? It clears the bases. Well, we'll see how they score it.
It's going to be an inside the park grand slam.
I think it is too.
It better be. Although some of the scoring we've seen recently, Murph, I wouldn't hold your breath, but it's got to be.
And it is scored a home run, so it is an inside the park grand slam for Aaron Altair. And Oh my, what was Michael Taylor thinking at this point in the game trying to make that play?
He's thinking, I'm going to go out and make this catch. The ball doesn't even reach the warning track.
No, I told you, Aaron Altair can run, and he can fly, and no hesitation whatsoever. You see Georgie in the dugout, he was waving him home, and that one was fouled back by Odubel Herrera.
I give Michael Taylor all the credit in the world for diving for that and having the aggressiveness to do so. Probably not the best idea, though.
No, certainly not. There you see it, and, well, if nothing else, you got to keep that ball in front of you.
It almost looked like he dove past it, like his glove was on the wrong side of the baseball.
Well, that is the first career grand slam for Aaron Altair, and he won't soon forget that one.
Good for him.
Phil's lead at 4-1 now here in the top of the third.
Well, I was requesting a gapper. I should have requested it inside the park grand slam.
Yeah, why not? Herrera fouls that one off. It's still 0-2. Yeah, you knew once it got past Taylor. I mean, Harper and Worth were so far away from center field. Rightly so. They didn't have a whole lot of time to react. Just knew Altair was going to at least get 3.
You know why I like watching him run? Yes, he is really fast, but at the effort level, he just like he's out there just moving.
That one was in the dirt, so it's a ball to Odubel Herrera. It's 1-2 now with 1 out. 4 runs across for the Phils. There's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and he got him. And Ramos dropped the ball, but they'll throw down to first and complete the strikeout. So it's a strikeout to Herrera the second time he has struck out in this game, and that'll bring up Darren Ruff. So that was the last Phillies inside the park home run since July 31st, 2012. A guy named Jimmy Rollins had that.
I remember him.
Also here at Nationals Park versus the Nets. How about that? Last inside the park grand slam. A long, long time ago. Ted Kazansky outside for a ball to Darren Ruff.
Desmond went out to get that relay, and Rock was sending him no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 3/4 of the way to third base, and Rock was waving his arm frantically, saying, I'm not stopping you. I don't think Desmond would have thrown him out at home regardless of whether he handled it cleanly or not.
I agree. I don't think he would have gotten him. You know, it would have a perfect throw maybe, but I'm not sure that Rock was going to be able to stop Altair at that point. He had a head of steam coming around third. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Darren Ruff. He swings through it. It's 2-2. Two pitch in the dirt. It's 3-2 now to Darren Ruff. So the Phillies taking advantage of some of the Nationals' mistakes in this one.
Regardless of Michael Taylor's misplay, it was a better swing by Aaron Altair.
Yeah.
It was fluid, it was under control, but it was still quick to the baseball. It wasn't that hard swing which we saw in Miami a few at bats.
Outside for a ball, so he walks him. Second walk of the inning. Darren Ruff takes a spot at first base with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Cody Ashe. Ashe, the 8th batter to come to the plate this inning. He singled in his first at bat. Get a couple more. Why not?
It is cool to drive in 4 runs with 1 swing.
It certainly is. I would imagine.
How many pitches you have, Zimmerman?
Shaking a bunch. And Cody Ashe swings and pops that one up. First base. Clint Robinson in foul territory makes the catch for the third out of the inning, so the Phils leave one on. However, the big swing in the top of the third came off the bat of Aaron Altair. Once it fell, he let his legs do the work. When it was all said and done, 4 runs were across the plate. The Phillies lead it 4-1. McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry, just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. So Jared Eichhoff has a 3-run lead to work with. Phillies 4, Nats 1 as we head to the bottom of the third. That'll be the top of the order for the Nationals. Anthony Rendon will lead it off. He doubled in his first at bat. Stranded over there. Or, excuse me, scored the run in the first inning on a Jason Worth single. Takes that first pitch outside for a ball, so it's 1-0 to Rendon.
That's pretty cool. Inside the park grand slam.
Yeah.
I'd have been diving headfirst into second, just praying I got there.
Legging out a double. Here's the 1-1 pitch. It's over for a strike, so it's 1-2. So Eichhoff gave up the run in the first inning and then had a nice second inning, gave up the 1 hit. But now, pitching with the lead, that's got to feel pretty good for him. And it's grounded to first base. Darren Ruff is up with it, flips it over to Eichhoff covering, and that's the first out of the inning. Well, the Marlins are coming to town to finish up the season after the New York Mets leave. It'll be Friday, October 2nd, Saturday, October 3rd, and Sunday, October 4th, which is Fan Appreciation Day. 2016 Phillies schedule magnet is provided for all folks, and prizes and surprises, of course, on Fan Appreciation Day. So order your tickets now at Phillies.com. Yunel Escobar will be the batter. He struck out in his first at bat.
I think Cameron Rupp yells, "Get over!" louder than any catcher in baseball.
I like it.
Making sure his pitcher knows to cover first on any ball to the right side of the diamond.
It's nice to have a subtle reminder,
yeah,
right?
You can clearly hear that. We heard that all the way up here.
That's saying something.
Get over!
Line drive, left field. Altair right there. And he makes the catch for the second out. So Escobar hit it hard, but right at Altair. And the first two are down here in the bottom of the third. That'll bring up Bryce Harper. Told you about some of the numbers that Bryce Harper is putting up this season. They are quite impressive. Offensively, he leads the National League in just about every offensive category.
Except RBIs.
Yeah. But on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, wins above replacement, home runs at bats for home runs, walks as well. It's pretty remarkable the season he's putting together. That one's outside for a ball, so it's 2-0 to Bryce Harper. He struck out in his first at bat. He has 122 walks on the season. One more, and he ties the Nationals franchise record, which would include the Expos. Kenny Singleton holds that record. That brings us to our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. There you see it. The youngest players with 40-plus home runs. And Bryce Harper on the list of what is a pretty impressive list of players. Take a look. 2015. 22 years old. What Bryce Harper's been able to do. Check swing. It's over for a strike. It's 2-2 now to Harper.
That list is silly.
Yeah.
That list is silly.
A couple of Hall of Famers on that list, right? Well, he came in with all the hype when he was 19 years old and didn't play poorly as he watches that one over for a strike. Didn't play poorly when he got here, but this year he has burst onto the scene, and he is by far the leading candidate for the National League MVP. However, Jared Eichhoff's been able to handle him so far. That breaking ball over for a called third strike, and we're headed to the fourth. K-Cup Pods. Great tasting coffee, amazing low prices, delivered free the very same day when you order by 11:30. WB Mason knocks it out of the park. Who but WB Mason? Top of the fourth now. Phillies lead it 4-1. Thanks to Aaron Alter's inside the park grand slam. First batter here in the fourth, Andres Blanco, who grounded into a double play in his only at bat. First pitch to Blanco is over for a strike. It'll be Blanco, Bogusevic, and Cameron Rupp. 6, 7, and 8 for the Phils.
Look back at that play last inning. Jared Eichhoff bunts, and Jordan Zimmerman tries to make that play at third base, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, if he just gets the out at first base, you get Freddie Galvis out on the pop up. There's 2 outs. You know, you might be pitching Aaron Alter a little differently, going for the kill shot with a strikeout. Second and third, 2 outs. You know, it could change the whole complexity of this ball game.
Well, it's the name of the game. If someone makes a mistake, gives you an extra out or two, take advantage, and the Phillies were able to do that in a big way. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Blanco. Pops it up. Ramos Off with the mask over by the Phillies dugout, makes the catch. That's the first out of the inning. So that'll bring up Brian Bogusevic. He walked to get things started in the big inning that was the top of the third inning. And Leslie Goodell, he's a guy that could very well be in the mix for an outfield spot next year.
Yeah, and he's a realist, Murph. I mean, he said, look, I know that what they're looking for right now at this point in the season are guys who are going to be pieces for them for a long time. Said, I'm not the guy who is going to be looking to be the everyday outfielder for the next 10 years. 10 years from now, he said he'll be retired. He's 31 years old. He's got just over 2 years of service time combined. He said he always seems to be on a team that is rebuilding. He came up with Houston and played with the Astros. He played with the Cubs a couple of years ago. And then he's getting this opportunity, and he's really making the most of it. And Pete Mackanin is impressed with what he's seen so far, because Mackanin said next year during spring training, defense and base running is going to be at the top of his list of importance, and that's when he can already check off his list. He knows that he's there defensively. He knows how to run the bases, and Scott Profrock said we've seen it, and we saw it last week in Atlanta where he backed up third base, he backed up first base earlier. He's got the ability to do what he needs to do in the field, and I think he's just looking for that opportunity to hopefully be like the fourth outfielder for this team. And while Profrock won't say he will or won't be on the roster, at the same time, he has made a lot of progress in from where he started.
Well, he singles to get aboard here with one out, and Leslie's exactly right. I think we all agree that he's certainly impressed the folks down in the Lehigh Valley the season that he had, and he has impressed since being here. Goes out and does what he's asked to do, and he does it well.
He said he leans on Frank Gore a lot, talks to him a lot about game situation stuff. He knows the game. He understands what the game's all about and what he has to do here. But just the day-by-day game situation stuff, Frenchie's a guy he really turns to for that.
Yeah, they're very similar in their makeup in terms of ball players. Bogusevic dives back, throw over. Cameron Rupp is the batter. He singled in his first at-bat. Bogusevic gets his lead off first. That one's over for a strike. It's 0-2 now to Cameron Rupp. Make that 0-1 to Cameron Rupp.
Can't get over that throw that Bogusevic had last night.
Yeah, it was perfect. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that is fouled over the tarp and out of play.
We used to have a saying when we played that I'll tag him. I'd make a good throw as a catcher, right on the bag. Literally all the shortstop or second baseman have to do is hold the glove there, because I threw it right to his glove. I'll tag him. That's what Brian Bogusevic could say last night to Cameron Rupp.
Yeah.
He put it right on the money.
Yeah, it was a perfect throw. It needed to be a perfect throw, and it was in last night's game in Miami. And swing and a miss. Cameron Rupp is a strikeout victim for the second out here in the top of the fourth. Well, the most popular way to follow the action of Phillies baseball is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. You can enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, statcasts, live radio broadcasts, and so much more. Get the MLB.com at bat app right now. 2 outs, and the pitcher, Jared Eickhoff, is up, and he swings through that one. It's 0-1 to Eickhoff. Three strikeouts for Zimmerman so far. Make that 4 strikeouts for Zimmerman. He is ahead of Jared Eickhoff, 0-2 now. Bogusevic leads off first. Swing and a miss, and he got it. So the 5th strikeout for Jordan Zimmerman, and he gets Eickhoff to end the top of the 4th inning. The Phils aren't able to push one across after the base hit by Bogusevic, but they lead by 3. Is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF-NOW or visit jefferson.edu. And buy the Quality Plus Ford stores. Go further. We're through 3.5 here at Nationals Park. The Phillies with a 4-1 lead. And, well, big moments here at Nationals Park. Always the president's race, but, well, we had a little bit of a mishap. Take a look at Abe.
Oh,
Abe Lincoln.
Abe.
He just went down. You know, a lot of times those races have a little bit of, well, a little bit of setup to them. I think Abe just went down. None of the other presidents seemed to care. George took the checkered flag. And, he is the winner, but Abe had to be helped off the field.
I honestly think he got hurt. See what I'm doing there, Murph?
Yeah, I'm picking out what you're putting down over there. Jason Worth is the batter for the Nationals. It's 1-1 to him. He had the RBI single back in the first. One pitch, line drive, left field. Altair has it, makes the catch. One out here in the bottom of the fourth.
That was a bit of a hanger. Got away with it, did Jared Eichhoff. But this breaking ball, this curveball, that's all we heard about when he was coming up was this great curveball that he had. And he gets caught up and all we see is a slider. The last couple of games going back to this curveball, he actually buckled Bryce Harper to end the last inning. You buckle a left-hander, you know you got a good hook.
First pitch swinging is Clint Robinson. Hard ground ball to second. Blanco's up with it. Over to Ruff. And quickly 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth. He is pitching with a great deal of confidence at this point, which is invaluable for any pitcher, anybody in the big leagues, but for a young guy to feel the way he appears to feel, it is fun to watch. Ian Desmond will be the batter. He struck out in his first at bat. 5 strikeouts for Eichhoff so far. He takes that one over for a strike. That's Desmond. So it's 0-1 to Ian Desmond. Wasting no time. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Over for the outside corner for a strike. It's 0-2. 16 balls, 35 strikes. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Just inside for a ball. It's 1-2. Mets and Reds tonight in Cincinnati. The Mets with a 4-0 lead. Reminder that Mets' magic number is 3. Line drive, base hit, center field. So Ian Desmond is aboard here in the fourth. Magic number for the Mets is 3 over the Nationals, meaning any combination of wins by the Mets, losses by the Nationals that add up to 3, and the Mets will be the NL East champs for 2015. So they're doing their part. The Phils are helping them out. Their magic number, if it all stayed like this, would be down to 1 going into tomorrow. Who would have thunk it? Michael Taylor steps to the plate. He struck out in his first at bat. Takes that one outside low for a ball. It's 1-0. Taylor, of course, the reason the Phils have that 4-1 lead, or certainly a big part of the reason. Unable to come up with that ball that was hit by Aaron Altair. Bottom of the third inning. 1-0 pitch. Snap throw down to first. Safe.
Anytime you see a grass stain on an outfielder's back, you know something bad happened. That's never good.
I'm trying to envision the scenario where that is a good thing, and I can't think of one. Michael Taylor steps back in. It's 1-1. Eichhoff from the stretch. Quick throw over, and Desmond is back again.
Two outs here. I'd be more concerned with Michael Taylor than I would Ian Desmond at first.
12 stolen bases for Desmond this year. Fouled off. It's 1-2 now to Michael Taylor. Outside for a ball. 2-2 to Michael Taylor. Swing and a miss. He got him. Third strikeout in the inning, or excuse me, sixth strikeout overall for Jared Eichhoff as he gets the third out there swinging. Michael Taylor goes down. The Phils headed to the top of the fifth. They lead it 4-1. Answer. The question was, who holds the Nationals record for most home runs in one season? Ben Davis, your thoughts? You are stumped on this one.
I am stumped big time. I was going to say Adam Dunn, but I'm going to have to go with Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah, there's that sound. Played just one season with the Nationals back in 2006. Alfonso Soriano had 46.
I would have never gotten that.
2006. He was an all-star that year. Log back on to find out if you are a winner. Ben, nothing for you tonight. You are not a winner.
Oh.
We might give you the home game as a parting gift, though.
Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome. Freddie Galvis is 0 for 2 tonight. Swings through that one. It's 0-2 now to Freddie Galvis. Popped out and lined out. Here's the pitch from Zimmerman. Foul back on check swing. Whoops. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Inside for a ball, 1-2. Lifts that one into right field. On the run is Bryce Harper, and he tracks it down in right center field, and that's the first out of the inning. Well, if you have a special event coming up, you might want to consider Citizens Bank Park to host it. Holiday parties, trade shows, meetings, fundraisers, anything you can think of. The ballpark offers upscale spaces like the Diamond Club, Hall of Fame Club, Executive Dining Room, and more. It all includes free parking, an on-site caterer, Fanatic appearances, and ballpark tours. You can see Phillies.com/special events or call 215-218-5100 for more information. Aaron Altair is the batter. And He is the reason Phils have a 4-1 lead. The inside the park grand slam in his first at bat, and he tags that one left field. Going back on it is Worth at the track, at the wall. He's not going to get it. That's out of here. Second home run for Aaron Altair in the game, and the Phils lead it 5-1. That one just kept carrying and carrying.
I did not think that ball had to carry, but as I look at the flags in left field, they are blowing pretty good out to left field. That ball got up in the jet stream, and Aaron Altair took advantage of I want to say it was a hanging breaking ball.
Take another look. Yeah, it did not look like he got all of that, but you saw Worth drifting, and that clears the wall by about 5 or 6 feet. It's a second home run. More conventional way to put one on the board for Aaron Altair that time. And with that home run, Keith Lemming from Delran, New Jersey, has just won $300, courtesy of the McDonald's home run jackpot.
Way to go, Keith. 5 RBIs for Aaron Altair.
Yeah, have a day. Odubel Herrera fouls that one off. It's 1-2 to him. All smiles for Aaron Altair. Runs have been hard to come by for the Phillies. And this is certainly a nice change of pace as they lead it 5-1. And that one is fouled off as well.
Apparently didn't mind arriving at the hotel last night at 3:15 a.m.
No, you must be a night person. Or maybe the guy that was sitting next to him on the plane allowed him to take a little rest.
Yeah.
Unlike the guy that was sitting next to me.
Hey. You had no problem closing your eyes on that flight last night, Murph.
1-2 pitch, fouled off.
Catching flies on that flight.
It was late. Phillies arrived at about 3:30 in the morning. Washington, D.C. Well, maybe about 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think we got to the hotel about 3:15.
Yeah. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Outside for a ball. It's 2-2. Ground ball, first base. Robinson has it, steps on the bag for the unassisted put out. That's 2 outs here in the 5th. That'll bring up Darren Ruff. 0 for 1 on the evening. Walked in his last at bat. Talked about Darren Ruff having kind of a hard luck series in Miami. Boy, did he hit some balls hard. And the Miami Marlins seem to catch everything off of his bat. And he hits that one deep to left field, and forget about it.
Yeah,
That is gone. Jason Worth just turns and looks. That is gone. Home run for Darren Ruff, number 10 on the season for him. And the second home run in the inning puts the Phillies up 6-1.
good night.
I don't think the wind helped that one a little bit.
That ball was touched. Take his helmet off, Andres. There you go. This ball is touched.
Justin
Justin
DeFreitas was hoping to make a play on that one. It was over his head.
Your go-go gadget arms there, Justin.
That'll bring up Cody Ashe, and that one sails outside for a ball. It's 1-0. So 2 solo home runs in this inning have put the Phils up 6-1. And nice to see Darren Ruff able to turn on one from a right-hander. We know what he does against left-handed pitching, but he's getting a chance to play against right-handers right now, and that was certainly a good sign.
Short swing.
Yeah. Well, Ashe is 1 for 2. He singled and fouls that one back, and it's 1-2 now to Cody Ashe.
Darren's last at bat, he ended up walking, and it was a good at bat. He saw some pitches, walked on a 3-2 cutter. He was down in the zone, but it was a very good take, and he went to first base. I just think he's picking the ball up well off Jordan Zimmerman.
1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and he got him. That was in the dirt, so they'll make the throw down to first for the final out. So it's a strikeout for Zimmerman, but the Phils, well, they're the ones doing the damage in the 5th inning. First, Aaron Altair. He gets that one over the head of Jason Worth and into the first row. And then Darren Ruff, well, no doubt about it, about 6 rows deep over the Phillies bullpen. They put 2 on the board, and the Phillies lead it 6-1. The Phillies Junior RBI League has been teaching kids how to play the game since 1989. Donate a baseball glove or 2 to the next generation of baseball greats at the Citizens Bank kiosk at Citizens Bank Park. At Citizens Bank, we want to help you bank better, so the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Bottom of the 5th, Phils with a 6-1 lead. Jared Eichhoff is front running right now. First pitch to Wilson Ramos is swung on a miss. It's 0-1. Ramos 1 for 1 tonight. He singled back in the 2nd. We haven't had a whole lot of offense to talk about, Ben, over the last week or so on this road trip. Tonight, Phil's putting the bat to the baseball.
Homers are cool.
Yeah, they are. Got them of all kinds of varieties tonight. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Ground ball, third base. Ashe smothers it, bounces off of his glove, and throws over to first, but almost is going to be safe. It was hit hard, but Ashe probably should have picked that.
It'll go down as an error.
So, most likely be E5. Ramos will be a leadoff base runner.
He's had some funny spin on this baseball, and I think if Cody were able, I think he was caught in between. Do I go over and get in front of it, or do I backhand this baseball? I think if he would have taken one more shuffle slide to his right, he would have come out with that a bit more clean, or he could just backhanded it. Does go down as knee 5.
So an error to Cody Ashe, and Jordan Zimmerman's evening is over. So we have a pinch hitter, Wilmer Default. Pinch hitting for the Nats, and he grounds it right to Darren Ruff. He throws it to second for 1, back to first, double play.
Whoa!
What? Safe at first. I was jumping the gun a little bit. From up here, he certainly looked like he got him, but we'll wait and see. See if Pete McCannon wants to take a look at that. Still a nice play by Darren Ruff to get the lead runner.
Cameron Rupp motioning over towards the dugout, pointing, wanting a play on this. Darren Ruff, very good job of creating the throwing lane. Freddie with it. Ooh, that was closer than I thought. From up here, it looked like.
I thought he was out, obviously, but James Roy said he was safe, and apparently, according to the replay, Pete McCannon agrees. See the stretch? Yeah, he got his foot in there. So,
wow.
So just the 1 out. And Defoe leads off first. It'll be the top of the order now for the Nats. Anthony Rendon. He doubled and scored. Takes that one over for a strike. So Jordan Zimmerman's night is over. Phillies having their way with him tonight, which is certainly good to see. And he swings at that one. It's a strike, so it's 0-2 to Anthony Rendon.
Sure, Matt Williams is sending Defoe up there with a purpose. You're going to swing at the first pitch and roll the ball over to first base. If that's the first pitch you're going after, then you should be able to try and drive it somewhere. That's kind of defeats the purpose of a pinch hitter.
It's 1-2 now to Rendon. Yunel Escobar is waiting his turn. He's on deck. Here's the 1-2 pitch outside for a ball. It's 2-2.
See that pitch right there. That shows you that Jared Eichhoff wants to go inside, but getting that, repeating that delivery constantly, and just I think he wanted that one a little too much. Kind of pulls off that ball, ends up with his momentum going towards first base as opposed to going towards Cameron Rupp. Yanks that ball down and away.
And that one gets past Cameron Rupp and shoots off the bricks and the backstop, and that is going to be a pass ball. Wild pitch. Call it a wild pitch, so it hit the dirt. Makes the count 3-2, and Defoe moves up to second base. Right through the wickets.
Yeah, right off the brick wall in the back there. Cameron a little tardy getting his right foot down, or right kneecap down, I should say. You never know where it's going to bounce off that wall.
No, you don't. So the count is full to Anthony Rendon. 3-2 pitch inside for a ball. So we walk it.
I don't agree with that, Murph.
Thought that was a strike.
No.
Oh.
I disagree with the pitch selection. You're up 6-1. And you throw a breaking ball. You know what? If you're going to go up top on me, so be it. It's 6-3. I don't care. But I'm not gonna put you on and keep that train moving for the Nats. You have a good fastball. Yeah, you don't throw 96, 97, but you throw 92, 93. Use it.
Well, that'll bring up Yunel Escobar with 2 on, 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 5th. That's a little bit high for a ball, so it's 1-0.
Yeah, you got some guys with some thump coming up. Some guys that just beat you up pretty badly the last series. That man and Jason Worth to follow. So
61 home runs combined over 2, 3, and 4.
That's why I'm saying you take me out with my fastball, you're better than me. You won the battle, but it's still only 6-3. I'm not going to walk you.
Well, a double play would certainly help out Jared Eichhoff right here. Cameron Rupp's going to go out and have a conversation with the young right-hander.
If you would have caught him looking on a breaking ball, I'd be saying, "Oh, what a great pitch by Jared Eichhoff." But
you love this game.
But in that situation, I like to see him be a bit more aggressive.
And he has. I mean, he's thrown his breaking ball for strikes tonight.
Yeah.
You know, he's gotten some strikeouts on it. So he missed with that one. So it's 2 runners on, 1 out, 1-0 pitch. Inside for a ball. It's 2-0. Yeah, you don't want to load up the bases and give Bryce Harper a chance to put the Nats right back in this one. So you're going to have to challenge Escobar at this point. Outside for a ball. It's 3-0. That was close. Eichhoff wanted it. There's Bryce Harper. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Over for a strike. It's 3-1.
I like to see pitchers do that. Get that big cleansing breath. Puts you at ease a little bit.
3-1 pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. This could be two. Flip to second for one. Over to first. Double play. Nice pick by Darren Ruff over there to complete the 6-4-3 double play. Eichhoff got exactly what he needed.
I love the 3-2 breaking ball, Murph.
Yes, you do. So the Phillies get themselves out of a jam. This is how it happened. A two-hopper. Quick throw from Galvis to Blanco to Ruff. Pick it out of the dirt. A pitcher's best friend. Phillies lead it 6-1.
Showing positive signs for the Phils' rotation of the future. Alec Asher, Aaron Nola, Adam Morgan, and Jared Eichhoff have all arrived on the big stage and have arrived ready to make a case for staying at the major league level. With bumps in the road and a learning curve for any young prospect, this quartet has made adjustments and found success against opposing lineups since their major league debuts. The future of the rotation is bright, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless.
Top of the sixth, Phils lead at 6-1. New pitcher for the Washington Nationals, number 36, the left-hander Sammy Solis. He's facing Andres Blanco. Falls behind 1-0. Pitch to Blanco's over for a strike. It's 1-1. Solis, 26 years old. Minneapolis, Minnesota. There you see, appearing in his 15th game. 1-1 with an ERA of 4.50. And gets that one over for a strike. It's 1-2. Blanco 0 for 2 tonight. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fouled back. It remains 1-2. Back again.
Some easy cheese by Solis. I mentioned to Tom, does anybody throw 92 anymore?
It's the truth, isn't it? And that one is fouled back into the glove of Ramos, and Andres Blanco is a strikeout victim. Well, some guys are on the mend for the Phillies, and Leslie, you have some updates on a trio of them.
I do. They're still trying to make their way back. First and foremost, Ryan Howard, whose knee is still bothering him, but he did bat today, took some batting practice, fielded some ground balls. He feels good. He is getting closer. He is not available just yet, but I do anticipate it sounds as though he will see a little bit of game time before the season is out. He is getting closer, though. Maikel Franco playing 3 innings of a game down in Florida. And Dom Brown still suffering from some concussion symptoms. He is hitting, but he still feels dizzy. So right now, no plans on moving Dom along.
You don't like to hear that about anybody in terms of concussions. Certainly we wish Dom Brown a speedy recovery on that. But it'll be some scary stuff. Of course, he suffered that concussion when he went over the half wall, hit his head. Where was that, in New York?
It was in New York,
Yeah,
yes.
New York. Camera up, takes that one a little bit low. It's 1-0. Good news on Franco and good news on Howard, though.
Yeah.
Maybe see both of those guys before the season's over. That is swung on, line drive, center field. Going to be an easy play for Michael Taylor, and he makes the catch. So the Phils go 1, 2, 3 in the sixth. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. They lead it 6-1. Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Delaware Valley Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Bottom of the sixth. The Phils with a 5-run lead. And it's time for our Hyundai defensive play of the game. And, well, it was a big play. It ended the last inning.
It was a huge play. You know, Escobar, you cannot pull that outside pitch. You do, this is what happens. 6 to 4 to 3. Big double play. It's about as much emotion as you'll ever see out of Jared Eichhoff. And that is your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
All right. Well, bring up Bryce Harper, who was on deck waiting for a chance to do some damage in the last half inning. He fouls that one back and over the net behind home plate. It's 0-1 to Bryce Harper. Having a tough night. 2 strikeouts for Harper.
Got him one swinging and once looking.
Fouls that one back as well. It's 0-2.
You can see his frustration. This is the last time he struck out. You talk about a good breaking ball, you buckle left-hander. Watch Bryce. Whoop! Uh-oh. I think I'll make a right turn and head back to the dugout. That's when you have a good overhand curveball.
Has been good tonight for Jared Eichhoff. And here is the 0-2 pitch. And that was a little bit upstairs. For a ball, it's 1-2.
The 0-1 pitch was a fastball. Very easy to handle for Bryce Harper, and he missed it, and you could see the frustration. Very vocal on that one.
1-2 pitch. We're going to miss. He caught him again. He doesn't even going to bother to run down to first base. He is frustrated right now with Jared Eichhoff. 3 strikeouts against Bryce Harper alone tonight for Eichhoff, and that's the first out of the inning.
All on that curveball. He's going to go down and take some frustrations out on that bat. I think you'll see with a new bat next time, but that is just a a breaking ball that he is not picking up the rotation on.
7 strikeouts for Jared Eichhoff. Jason Worth first to face him now, and he swings at that one. And it's deep to left field, and that one is gone. So a solo shot from Jason Worth, who continues to put up good numbers against the Phillies of late, and that cuts the lead to 6-2.
First pitch, Honey.
Yep.
Got that ball up in the jet stream as well. I don't think that one was wind, David, like you said.
No, I don't think so either. His 12th of the year for Jason Worth. High fives in the dugout.
Heater. Wasn't as far in as the one he hit off Nola on the 0-2 pitch back in Philly, but that ball's supposed to be down and away. Sometimes you fly open, you leave balls on the inner half to righties.
Clinton Robinson steps in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. And that one hit him. So Robinson's going to take his base.
I don't know about that one.
You know, he certainly didn't
did
react.
Not budge.
Yeah. I waited to see what the umpire was going to say. And, oh, now they're going to say it was a foul ball. He pointed to first at first, but now it's going to say it was a foul ball. So Matt Williams is going to come out and have a conversation.
Robinson not saying anything, so.
Yeah, if that hit his hand, you're going to get some kind of reaction, aren't you?
Unless he's Superman.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Take a look. I'll tell you, though, it did look like it hit him.
It sure did. I thought it got his right elbow at first.
Look, so home plate umpire John Toon-Payne says, take your base, and then apparently changed his mind. So Robinson stays at the dish, and it's 0-2 now to Clint Robinson. Ow. That certainly looked like it hit him. Phillies will take it. Here's the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt. It's 1-2.
Good pitch.
Yeah, fouled at the plate. Remains 1-2.
Obviously, you cannot repeat that location every time, but if you could, just not a whole lot of damage you can do with that pitch.
There's the 1-2 pitch. That was hit off the plate. Eichhoff waits for it to come down, makes a strong throw over to Darren Ruff, and 1-3 goes the put out to Clint Robinson, and that's the second out of the inning.
Must have hit right off the middle of that plate because that ball was in the air for a while.
That was a strange at bat for Clint Robinson.
Boing.
Oh yeah, probably if he doesn't stumble out of the box, that's a much tougher play, but Eichhoff did what he had to do, gets the second out of the inning, brings up Ian Desmond. He signaled his last at bat. He's also struck out, 1 for 2 on the night. Swings through that. It's 0-1 to Ian Desmond.
I think a racquetball coming off the ground there.
Strange at that. Time is called by Desmond. He steps back out.
Strange swing. He just got caught up, and I got fooled. I might as well swing because it's going to be a strike, and you just chop it straight down.
Now that'll play. 0-2 to Ian Desmond.
Ended up being an okay night. We got here to the ballpark. It was raining.
Yep.
It was very gray. Pleasant evening.
The 0-2 pitch. Fouled back. Yeah, the rest of the weekend is a little bit dicier. It's rain in the forecast for tomorrow and a lot of rain in the forecast on Sunday, but
I think we'll get them in.
All right, son. Swing and a miss, and he got him. 8 strikeouts for Jared Eichhoff as he gets Ian Desmond on that fastball. One hit in the inning was the home run by Jason Worth, but the Phils, with the 4-run lead, they lead it 6-2. Andres Blanco has taken off a lot of helmets tonight. Phillies have 3 home runs, including the inside the park grand slam that Aaron Altair hit back in the 3rd inning. Phillies have a 6-2 lead. Jason Worth has a solo home run for the Nationals, but really, you know, the inside the park grand slam and Jared Eichhoff have been the story in this one. He has been really good, and he is your batter to lead it off here in the top of the 7th inning. No surprise to see him back out there. He has been he's been on cruise control, looking completely in control of this game.
Really only a couple mistakes, and again, that breaking ball. He almost has tonight that breaking ball where you know it's coming, everybody knows it's coming, but yet you still can't recognize it because he does have a low 90s fastball. You can't recognize that breaking ball, and you keep getting out on it.
Well, he's a strikeout victim here to start the 7th. Why don't we check in right now with Leslie Goodell, who has our fan photo for the evening. Leslie.
Yes, I do, Murph. Today's photo comes from @TyShin66. My dad and I on the field. Let's go, Phils. Tweet your strongest fan photo to Philly Photo Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Well, not for nothing, those guys look like they could play right now. Full uni. Fouled back. Freddie Galvis. It's 1-1. Now, Leslie mentioned before Maikel Franco and his coming back from his injury. Give you an update on his day as that one's over for a strike. He's down there in Clearwater right now, and he's playing in the Florida Instructional League. He played 3 innings today. He had 3 at-bats, and looked pretty good according to Joe Jordan, Phil's minor league director, and it was the first day he was facing live pitching, so that is why it is important. He said he felt very good afterwards. He's scheduled to play 4 innings and then off on Sunday before those games start down there in the Instructional League. So that's good news. Maikel Franco works his way back. I mean, we're running out of time.
It's great news.
We may not see him, but he's trying to get healthy so he can play winter ball this year and keep things going, because it certainly was a terrific first full season for Maikel Franco. Galvis fouls that one off. It's a full count to Freddie Galvis.
I'll keep beating a dead horse. You have to make sure your hands are good to hit. Anything, your wrists, your hands, if anything's hurting, because you use your hands to hit so much. You just want to make sure he's 100%. And to hear him say no pain at all, it's a very, very good sign.
Another foul ball from Freddie Galvis, who's battling here. 1 out in the 7th. Ninth pitch of this at bat coming up to Freddie Galvis. Fouls that one back. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Freddie Galvis. Line drive right field. Harper going back and reaches up and makes the catch. So 2 outs here in the 7th. And well, the star of the night, no doubt about it, has been Aaron Altair. This was in the 3rd. Michael Taylor couldn't come up with it, and forget about it. The wheels were turning, putting them up, putting them down. An inside the park grand slam for Altair, and then a little bit later in the game, in the 5th inning, a solo shot from left field. 5 RBIs for Aaron Altair. Getting it done tonight here at Nationals Park. 2 for 3. Takes that one a little bit high and outside. And how about this for a little bit of a note? This is coming from our good friend Chris Ware in our PR department. He says, Puddinhead Jones was the last Philly to hit 2 home runs in a game, with one of them being an inside the park grand slam back in 1951.
Good old Puddinhead.
You remember that, right, Ben? Thank you, Chris Ware. And that one is lined into the gap, and that's going to be extra bases for Altair.
Stupid double.
Yeah, they'll have to stop at second on this one, but I think he'll take it.
8.
Third extra base hit for Aaron Altair on the evening.
8 plus 2, Murph.
A lot of bases.
That's 10.
Yeah.
10 total bases.
A lot of total bases.
That's slugging percentage tonight.
Well, he did have that pesky strikeout in the first inning, but
is that not a completely different swing from what we saw in Miami? Remember, he was facing Adam Conley. He swung at a slider with 2 strikes as hard as he did on the first pitch fastball. That is a swing that's under control. Not nearly as hard, yet quicker.
One of your keys to the game. It's like Aaron's taking it to heart.
Completely different swing.
Well, here comes Odubel Herrera, who has 2 strikeouts in the game. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Sees his average dip below 290. Pitch to Herrera, ground ball to first base. Robinson picks it. Solis covering, and that is the final out of the inning. But Aaron Altair continues on his roll. He had the 1 hit in the inning. We're going to head to the bottom of the 7th, and the Phils lead it by 4. The 2 Phillies. Michael Taylor will lead it off for the Washington Nationals. Takes that first pitch from Jared Eichhoff outside for a ball. It's 1-0. It'll be Taylor and Ramos, and then the pitcher spot. And he hits that line drive to right field. Bogusevic gets turned around, but reaches up and makes the catch. Well, every time the Phillies retire the opposing team 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Jared Eichhoff has been able to do that 1 time tonight, back in the 3rd inning. And there is some action in the Phillies bullpen. Jenmar Gomez, the righty, starting to warm up under the watchful eye of Rod Nichols. Wilson Ramos will be the batter. He's been on base twice tonight. First pitch from Eichhoff is over for a strike. The 91st pitch of the evening for him. Take a look at these breakdown per innings. Other than the second, well, he had 20 pitches, Ben. That was pretty impressive stuff. One's in the dirt.
It sure was, and I'd say the 5th inning was probably his most stressful inning. And you got Escobar to roll ball over to Freddie at short for the 6-4-3 double play.
Foul back.
And I say stressful because it was 1st and 2nd, 1 out, 3-1 count, knowing you have Harper and Worth coming up after Escobar. He just doesn't let it affect him.
That is good to see. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Got him. That is the 9th strikeout for Jared Eickhoff on this evening, and the 2nd out in the inning. Don't forget, Fan Appreciation Day is right around the corner. Sunday, October 5th at 3:05 versus the Marlins, the final game of the season. 2016 Phillies schedule magnet, free to all fans. Traditional celebration, prizes and surprises. Gotta be there. Order your tickets now at Phillies.com. Dan Uggla will be the pinch hitter for the Nationals with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch to Uggla. Breaking ball over for a strike. It's 0-1. Eickhoff gets his sign. The 0-1 pitch is outside for a ball. It's 1-1. So it's Uggla, then the top of the order for the Nets. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Foul back. The out-of-town scoreboard. Braves and the Marlins. Marlins put some runs on the board as well. 11-6 they lead the Atlanta Braves. Justin Bour having himself a night. Home run and a double. 3 for 3. 17 hits for the Fish. In the dirt. It's 2-2 now to Dan Uggla.
Bour's 20th of the year.
We saw him hit a couple of bombs when we were down there in Miami, and a couple of balls that went about 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah. Funny game.
2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and he caught him. Jared Eickhoff, 1-2-3 go the Nationals in the bottom of the 7th, and he is in complete control. He's front running with a 6-2 lead. B. Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com today to find out. Toyota. Let's go places. 6-2. Top of the 8th. Phillies with 7 hits, the 1 error. Nationals in 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. The new pitcher for the Nationals is Rafael Martin. 10 games so far. 1-0 with a 4.35 ERA. He will face Darren Ruff, Cody Ashley, and Andres Blanco.
didn't see what John Tumpain said. It was double switch out there, or no? I don't believe there was.
Now Martin is batting in the
he's still in the 9 hole. Yep.
Makes your book a little bit easier.
It does.
And Darren Ruff lines that one to left field, and that one's going to go all the way back to the wall. It's going to be extra bases for Ruff. The throw comes in from Worth out there in left field. He's safe at second. So another extra base hit for Darren Ruff, coming off his home run in the 5th. And he is a leadoff base runner. Well, it appears that Jared Eichhoff's night is done. Getting a lot of handshakes and some high fives from his teammates. Lots of smiles. A job well done. 10 strikeouts for Jared Eichhoff in this game as he gets a handshake from his manager.
Come on, Jared. Smile. Smile, Jared. Come on.
He'll smile. That's a new career high in strikeouts. He had 8 strikeouts against the Cubs earlier this season, but he has 10 tonight. So congratulations on a job very well done here in Washington tonight. And the Phils, meanwhile, continue to bring out the lumber. 5 of their 8 hits tonight for extra bases, 3 home runs, a couple of doubles. Cody Ashley is the batter. He singled in his first at bat. There is Jared Eichhoff. Freddie's smiling. Can't get Jared to smile yet. Foul back. It's 0-2 to Cody Ashley.
What's Georgie telling him? Probably talking about his bunting. Definitely talking about his bunting.
You see Alec Asher on the right. Jared Eichhoff, just the last 2 guys to throw for the Phils, 2 young guys. Almost pops straight up. Almost has the mask off, and he heads back to the net, but that's going to be about 4 rows deep. Foul territory, so we'll do it again. It's 0-2. They both did a very nice job. I mean, obviously, Eichhoff dominated tonight, but Alec Asher could be very proud of what he did last night in Miami as well. All good signs as they move ahead and look towards the 2016 starting rotation for the Phils. I think the guy on the left has pretty much solidified his spot when I talk about Eichhoff. And Alec Asher will certainly be in the mix. Might still have some work to do, but
I don't think he's pretty much solidified it.
Yeah, he's in.
He's in.
Okey-doke.
I'm not playing GM though. He's in.
Message has been sent. Here's the 1-2 pitch.
Tag up.
Fly ball, center field. Going back on it is Taylor. He looks up, and that ball is gone. It's a home run for Cody Ashley. And Darren Ruff will score ahead of him. A 2-run shot. That one just kept going and going as well. Phil's put 2 more on the board. It's 8-2. No need to tag up.
No need to tag up. Gaining altitude. That ball well out of here to dead center.
Yeah, Taylor turned, and at first I thought it looked like he had a chance at it, but he started to slow. Take another look.
Fastball up out over the plate. Again, no wasted motion in that swing.
There's a new season high for the Phillies in home runs this year with 4 of them. This is fun. It's the way it should be.
Offense is always fun.
Yeah. It's 1-1 now to Andres Blanco. Smiles from Cody Ashley in the dugout tonight. Aaron Altair has 2 home runs tonight. Darren Ruff has 1. Cody Ashley has the other. Andres Blanco takes that one outside for a ball. It's 2-1.
I like coloring in all these squares in my scorecard, Murph.
8 runs on 9 hits for the Phils. Over for a strike. It's 2-2. 2-2 pitch outside for a ball. 3-2 to Andres Blanco.
I think Taylor just deked us because he was going back on the ball like he had a beat on it. I guess he was going back on it like that because he knew he wasn't going to catch that ball without a cape on.
3-2 pitch, ground ball, second base. Rendon has it to Robinson for the first out of the inning. So Blanco goes down 4-3, and that'll bring up Brian Bogusevic, and it's time for the Major League Notebook. Leslie.
Yes, it is. The Major League Notebook brought to you by St. Joseph's University. And the Red Sox have hired front office veteran Frank Wren to be their vice president of baseball operations. That reunites him with Dave Dombrowski. The two worked together for 11 years with the Marlins. He has been brought on to be one of their lead talent evaluators. And Nationals closer Jonathan Papelbon has been suspended for 3 games for intentionally throwing at the head of Orioles third baseman Manny Machado on Wednesday here at Nationals Park. But Papelbon is available for tonight's game because he is appealing that suspension. Matt Williams saying he hopes to put the ball in Papelbon's hands tonight. They have a little catching up to do before that can happen. Murph?
Yeah, they certainly do as they trail at 8-2. Jonathan Papelbon getting himself into a little bit of trouble. And that is swung on and hit deep but foul by Brian Bogusevic. So the count is 1-2 to Bogusevic. There is Matt Williams. It was a strange scene the other night. Leslie talking about the high inside pitch first to Machado and then the one that hit him. Machado wasn't happy. We talked about Bryce Harper wasn't really happy about what had happened, what unfolded. There is Jonathan Papelbon. He doesn't look happy either.
He was not available earlier either to discuss this. He was available, but not to discuss the suspension.
Jonathan Papelbon, when got traded from the Phillies, really thought he was going to get a chance to pitch in the postseason with these Washington Nationals. That does not appear likely at this point. In fact, it appears outright unlikely at this point. Swing and a miss. Strikeout to Brian Bogusevic, so that's the second out of the inning. Take another look at what happened on Wednesday night.
Yeah, first pitch he runs it up and in on Manny Machado. Does not get him. If it was intentional, who knows? But then he throws him a slider for a strike and then back up and in. If it was intentional, we'll never get the answer that you're looking for out of Paps. If it was intentional, I don't like it because you don't mess with somebody's head.
Yeah, it was a little high. Your point is a good one. If you're going to hit him, and there are times when that is appropriate.
Hit him in the tail.
Yep. But Harper's point was, he hit a 2-run home run to put his team up. That's not a reason to then get drilled, and most folks would agree. Here is what Bryce Harper said. He said, Manny hit a freaking homer, walked it off, and somebody drilled him. It's pretty tired. It's one of those situations where it happens, and I don't know, I'll probably get drilled tomorrow. And he did not. The Orioles did not retaliate.
Now, I'm thinking that was handled internally by the Nats.
Well, Cameron Rupp is the batter.
I know if that were me, it would have been handled internally.
Over for a strike. It's 2-2, meaning a conversation between Harper and Johnson.
Yes.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And swing and a miss, and he got him. So Cameron Rupp is a strikeout victim, but Phil's able to add a couple more runs. Third baseman this time, Cody Ashe, straight away center field. That one went a long way. It put 2 more runs on the board, and the Phils lead it 8-2. Push for the playoffs shifts into high gear as they travel north to tangle with the New England Revolution. It's Union Soccer Saturday night at 7:30 only on the Comcast Network. Phillies 8, Nationals 2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Phils have brought their bats to Washington. The dangle hat has also arrived in Washington. You know what? It's gotten to the point where you might need the dangle hat tonight.
Did you stop?
It's chilly here. It's a little chilly. Anthony Rendon leads it off here in the 8th. Dalier Hinojosa is the new pitcher for the Phils. That one's over for a strike. It's 1-1. Here you see his numbers in 13 games. 1-0, an ERA of 1.06. He does throw hard. We've seen a lot of Hinojosa in the latter parts of the season. That one's fouled straight back.
Pete Mackanin loves him.
Yeah. Well, what's not to like? I mean, he throws strikes and he throws hard.
We talked a little bit about him in our open yesterday and the fact that he has 2 out pitches, 2 strikeout pitches. He's got a mid-90s fastball, and the splitter has been very devastating this season.
1-2 pitch is in the dirt. It's 2-2. With the Rendon, Escobar, and Harper here on the bottom of the 8th. That's trail it by 6.
There you go.
Swing and a miss, and he got it. 11th strikeout for Phillies pitching tonight. The first by Hinojosa. And Rendon is a strikeout victim to lead off the bottom of the 8th. Well, the Nationals fans, about 31,000 plus here tonight. They're not going to like that news either. Top of the 7th, the Mets lead the Reds 9-0. Lucas Duda, 2 for 4, 2 home runs for him. And as we said earlier, if it remains the way it is right now, with the Mets winning that game and the Phils winning this one, the magic number for the New York Mets will be 1. They could clinch it at home tomorrow. Ground ball to shortstop. Galvis has it. Fires to first. Second out. And there's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. And here comes Bryce Harper, who is probably the happiest guy in the ballpark to see Jared Eichhoff in the dugout at this point. 0 for 3 tonight with 3 strikeouts is Bryce Harper.
Been there.
Me too, at a much lower level.
What was I telling the other day? I struck out 3 times against Roy Oswalt on 9 pitches. I saw 9 pitches and struck out 3 times. Is that a good percentage, Murph?
I'm gonna check the stat, but no, that is not. That is not. Yeah. Oh, if you're talking about for Roy, yeah, it's a heck of a night. 1-0 to Bryce Harper. That one's a little bit low for a ball, so it's 2-0 now. .20 pitch is fouled back. It's 2-1. Take a look at where Jason Worth stands when he is so far from the batting. He is so far from the batting circle. He is closer to home plate. He is closer to Bryce Harper than he is to his own dugout.
You just go hop on the other side of the box.
It's remarkable where he is. 2-1 pitch. Fouled back in and out of the glove of Cameron Rupp. Count is even at 2-2. Now he's even closer.
We could be looking at the golden sombrero here, Murph. Just 4 strikeouts.
0 for 4 with 4 Ks. Well, Hinojosa will have the honors this time around. It's 2-2 with 2 outs. Cameron Rupp sets up outside and low. 2-2 pitch. That's where the pitch was, but just a little bit too far outside. It's 3-2. I think you got to challenge him right now, right?
Yes.
You want to walk him?
I like that same pitch he just threw, just up a couple inches.
gets his sign, and Harper asks for time, so he steps out.
I think he shook the fastball away, fastball in the splitter, and looks like he wants the slider. See 3 fingers put down by Cameron.
Well, here is the 3-2 pitch. Line drive, center field. Going back on it is Herrera. He's at the track and makes the catch. So Bryce Harper gave it a ride. Not a strikeout, but an out nonetheless. 1-2-3 go the Nationals in the 8th. We head to the 9th. The Phils lead it by 6.
Going this evening. The breaking ball is how he got the majority of the strikeouts. Bryce Harper 3 times. There a slider, first 2 with breaking balls, another breaking ball. Harper buckles him with a backdoor breaking ball. Another breaking ball down the dirt. And Desmond, Peter, thanks for coming. Another breaking ball to Ramos, Dan Ugla. And they are 10 strikeouts for Jared Eichhoff. And there was a quick second there where Jared almost smiled, but he kept his face on.
Most strikeouts from a Phillies rookie since Jay Happ did it back in 2009 versus Colorado. What was that to Ugla? Yeah, okay. Your own buzzer. Matt Grace is the new pitcher for the Nats. 23rd appearance. 2-1 with a 4.80 ERA, and he is facing Darnell Sweeney, who is pinch hitting for the Phillies. Pinch hitting for Hinojosa in the pitcher spot. And first pitch from the lefty is outside for a ball. It's 1-0. Sweeney fouls that one back. It's 1-1. See Sweeney's pinch hitting numbers. Just 1 for 9 so far. Fouls that one. In and out of the hands of John Miserock. Here you see Luis Garcia is warming up for the Phils. So it looks like we will see him in the 9th inning. Over the inside corner for a called third strike. So Sweeney is a strikeout victim. It's the first out at the top of the 9th. Well, the Majestic Clubhouse store at Citizens Bank Park always features a wide selection of apparel, novelties, everything Fanatic, plus authentic game-used memorabilia for all, young and old. It's open year-round, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Follow us on Twitter at Phillies MCS for all the newest arrivals and up-to-the-date information. Makes a perfect holiday gift, Ben. Holidays are just around the corner.
That it does, Murph. That it does.
Send Ben your sizes. He'll take care of you. That one's fouled at the plate. Freddie Galvis, it's 1-1. Steven Strasburg will do the pitching tomorrow for the Nats. Outside for a ball. It'll be Strasburg and Aaron Nola for the Phillies. Smart. So pretty good pitching matchup right there. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Pop up into right field. Coming hard is Harper, and he makes the catch for the second out. Wasn't hit hard, but Harper got a real nice jump on it, able to make the catch. So 2 down here in the top of the 9th. And that'll bring up Aaron Altair. What can he do for a final encore? 2 home runs and a double. 5 RBIs.
The Phillies with a .647 slugging percentage tonight. .647.
Look at you bringing the math. That one's in the dirt to Altair. It's 1-0.
Wilson Ramos, I feel your pain, buddy. I don't miss those.
Where to get them?
I want to say the left bicep or the wrist area. Couldn't tell which way it glanced off him, but somewhere on that left arm. That splat sound.
1-0 pitch. Outside for a ball. It's 2-0. Good take by Aaron Altair there. Think he has the green light?
No.
3-0 pitch. Over for a strike.
If it were 2-2 or 3-2, yes. But not 8-2.
Line drive, base hit. Well, he's a triple away from the cycle.
Think he'll be in the lineup tomorrow, Murph?
And Aaron Altair is aboard with 2 out. That'll give Odubel Herrera a chance. Herrera 0 for 4 tonight. Been a tough night for him. 2 strikeouts. First pitch to Herrera is on the outside corner for a strike. It's 0-1.
I know I sound just all geeked up because it's been a tough road trip offensively. To see this kind of output, it's very refreshing, much like the weather this evening. And it's just fun to watch offense.
It is. And not for nothing, real good offense from the good guys, the Phils, and really good pitching on the other side for the Phils. And a well-played game by the Phillies.
All around.
Yeah. That's fun.
Think Zimmerman wish he took that force play again on the bunt in that second inning?
Yep, that really...
third inning, I should say.
Changed some things early on in this one. And I'm sure Michael Taylor's wishing that he had just let that one drop in front of him and kept it in front of him.
You can't fault them for aggressiveness, though. If it's a mental error, they're the ones that Matt Williams is going to have a problem with. But an aggressive error like that, well, you could say that one leads to the other. Mental error, thinking that you can get it, leads to that physical error, and that you don't actually get the ball.
1-2 pitch, fly ball, center field. In comes Taylor, and still coming in, and he makes the diving catch on that one. So able to squeeze that one for the final out at the top of the 9th. Tough night all around for Odubel Herrera, and a nice play by Taylor there. It'll be Luis Garcia in the bottom of the 9th. Phil's trying to close this one out at Nationals Park. They lead it 8-2. On Wednesday, September 30th, it's Phillies high school night. High school students can find out what it's like to work for a Major League Baseball team. Some of the highlights will include a question and answer session with Phillies marketing and communications, community outreach, broadcasting, and baseball development executives. You can take selfies with the World Series trophies and have a talk with the Phillies interim general manager, Scott Profrock, as well.
And who is the featured speakers? One of them, our very own Greg Murphy.
I will be there as well. Space is limited, 200 participants. So to register or for more information, see phillies.com/high school. Hope to see you in the back of the room, Ben.
I'll be there.
Just like you showed up to every high school class.
Of course I did.
Of course you did. Mom and Dad were school teachers. They would have no parts of that. Luis Garcia is the new pitcher for the Phils, and he'll face Jason Worth here in the bottom of the ninth. It'll be Worth, Clint Robinson, and Ian Desmond. 4, 5, and 6 for the Nationals. Worth, of course, solo home run, his last at bat. That was outside for a ball, so it's 2-0 now to Jason Worth. Worth has both RBIs tonight for the Nationals. An RBI single in the first inning and the home run in the sixth. And he lines that one to center field. Herrera going back on it and makes the catch. So Jason Worth is out. It's the first out of the inning. Stay tuned after the game with Tommy Green to give his take on tonight's Phillies Nationals matchup. Only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post-Game Live. Stevie Green, I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about Jared Eichhoff. And it'll be interesting to hear what he thought of his performance tonight. I'm sure it'll be all positive. So 1 out. And the pitch to Clinton Robinson's outside for a ball. So it's 1-0 to Robinson.
Ball Jason Worth just hit looked like one of Tommy Green's hooded 3-irons off the deck.
Yeah, it did. It was knuckling a little bit for Herrera out there. Although Tommy's 3-iron goes about another probably 150 yards.
Yeah. That ball that Jason just hit was touched. But it's an L8.
And that's a bloop into right center field, and that's going to fall in for a hit. No man's land. So Robinson is aboard with a base hit, his first of the night. I thought for a second maybe Blanco could get there, but could have placed it any more perfectly out there in between the three fielders, right center field. So 1 out base runner is Clint Robinson. That'll bring up Ian Desmond.
Yeah, nothing Luis could do about that. Made a good pitch and loops it into right center field there. Does Robinson.
So Desmond is your batter. He's 1 for 3 tonight, 2 strikeouts and a single. Sees the first pitch, the outside corner for a strike. It's 0-1. Phillies 2 outs away from grabbing victory here against the Nats. They've lost 3 straight to the Nationals.
In the last series they played against the Nats at home, 3 games, and the Phillies struck out a total of 42 times.
Yeah, a little bit different tonight. Outside for a ball. Phillies have lost 6 of their last 7 games to the Nationals. They've been outscored in those games 41-22. So nice to see them on top in this one here in the 9th inning. Fouled in and out of the glove of Rupp. It's 2-2 now to Desmond. Well, tomorrow, late afternoon game here at Nationals Park, 4 p.m. We'll be on the air. Comcast Sportsnet. A special edition of Chapman Auto Store's pregame live coming your way, live from Nationals Park. Ben, you'll be a part of that.
Looking forward to it, Murph.
Yeah. And that one's looped out in the right field. In comes Brian Bogusevic, but he takes it on a hop. Throws to second. And it's cut off by Blanco. Robinson had to wait to see if that ball was going to be caught, and then Kovacevic made a nice play, keeping it in front of him, and made a strong throw to second. I don't think they would have had Robinson regardless, but it was cut off by Blanco. Take another look.
Yeah, Brian comes in here and catches the baseball. If he would have thrown out Robinson at second base, I think that would have been the epitome of the Nats season.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know, an example of what's been going on for them this summer.
So Luis Garcia has got the first out of the inning on a line drive to center field, but now is back-to-back looping singles that have found some grass out there in the outfield. The hardest hit ball of the inning was the out. The other two were singles. So Michael Taylor steps in. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Fouls that one over the Nats dugout into the crowd. So 1-1. If you're going to tune in for the pregame show tomorrow, get a chance to hear Leslie Goodell's interview with Aaron Nola, tomorrow's starter. That interview conducted today, and some interesting things that Aaron had to say about his first half season up in the big leagues. So we look forward to bringing you that tomorrow at 3:30. And guess what? An encore presentation, Ben, because people are demanding it. The fans' plays of the year. If you missed it the first time around, don't miss it tomorrow.
They did a very good job with that.
They did a great job. 1-1 pitch. Fly ball center field. And the left fielder Aaron Altair is going to come across in left center and make the catch. And that is the second out of the inning. So runners will have to stay put at first and second. There's 2 outs. And that'll bring up Wilson Ramos. The last hope for the Nationals to keep this game alive. So Ramos steps in. Garcia's pitch a little bit low for a ball. It's 1-0. Robinson leaves off second. Desmond off first. 2 outs. 1-0 to Wilson Ramos. Ground ball, second base. This should do it. Backing up on it is Blanco. The throw to first, and that's the final out of the ball game. So the Phils win this one with the impressive offensive display and some real good starting pitching from their young guy Jared Eichhoff, and they're going to win it tonight here at Nationals Park, 8-2. They'll snap that 3-game losing streak, and Bryce Harper's face, well, says it all. There was your offensive hero of the game, and he is our Chevy player of the game.
11 total bases for Aaron Altair. The Nats combined 11 total bases.
So Aaron Altair will get congratulations from his teammates. Pete McCann gets another victory under his managerial belt. Our WB Mason deliveries of the game, well, there's a few of them.